Alex scrubbed the sleep from his eyes, staring blankly at the faded ceiling of his dorm room. Another night, another dollar, or rather, another night, another zero in his bank account. His family was counting on him to make ends meet. But with tuition, fees, and living expenses piling up, it felt like a never-ending battle. He rubbed the tension from his temples as he clicked open his laptop. The familiar glow of the screen, a welcome distraction from his financial woes. As a NIT major, Alex had always been fascinated by the world of hacking. But it wasn't until he stumbled upon a dark web forum that he became truly enthralled. The online community's passion for the craft was infectious, and Alex found himself spending hours reading about exploits, vulnerabilities, and countermeasures. However, his parents were less than thrilled with his newfound interest. They worried that hacking would lead to trouble or worse, a stint in prison. Alex tried to reassure them that he was just curious, that he only wanted to learn and use his skills for good. But the more he delved into the world of cybercrime, the more he realized that the line between right and wrong was increasingly blurred. Alex's fingers danced across the keyboard as he searched for his next challenge. His handle, Novaspire, was a pseudonym he'd chosen to protect his true identity. But it was also a reminder of his aspirations, to make a name for himself in the hacking world and leave his financial struggles behind. The hum of his computer grew louder as Alex's eyes scanned lines of code, searching for any sign of Zero Cool, a notorious hacker who'd been leaving breadcrumbs across the digital landscape. Their virtual cat-and-mouse game had become an obsession for Alex, pushing him to improve his skills with each new encounter. As he delved deeper into the darknet, Alex stumbled upon a cryptic message from an unknown sender. "Meet me at Club Inferno tonight. Come alone." A shiver ran down his spine as he recognized the signature of Zero Cool. The thrill of the hunt had him hooked, and he couldn't let fear hold him back. Alex's mind racing, he knew he had to act fast. He typed out a response, trying to keep his cool, despite the growing unease in his stomach. "I'll be there," he sent, his fingers trembling as he hit send. The message was met with silence for what felt like an eternity before another text arrived. This one contained a single phrase, "Be careful who you trust." Alex's eyes darted around his room, feeling a sense of unease wash over him. Who could have sent the warning? Was it Zero Cool himself, or someone else entirely? The more he thought about it, the more his anxiety grew. As he pondered his next move, the sound of rain pattering against his window seemed to grow louder, like the beat of a sinister drum. Alex took a deep breath and tried to shake off the feeling of unease. He had to be careful. This was just a game, after all. But as he closed his laptop and headed out into the night, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking into something much more sinister. The rain-soaked streets were empty as Alex made his way to Club Inferno. The neon lights of the club cast an eerie glow over the deserted sidewalks, and for a moment, Alex wondered if he'd made a mistake coming here alone. But he pushed on, his heart pounding in his chest. As he approached the entrance, a figure emerged from the shadows. "Your Novaspire," the figure said, its voice low and gravelly. "I've been waiting for you." Alex's eyes narrowed as he took in the stranger's appearance. He was tall and lean, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to bore into Alex's soul. The man wore a black leather jacket and jeans, and his dark hair fell across his forehead. "Who are you?" Alex asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "My name isn't important," the stranger replied. "What's important is that you're here, and Zero Cool wants to see you." Alex followed the stranger through the doors of the club, and into a dark alleyway. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and sweat, and Alex could hear the thumping beat of music coming from inside. As they burst through the doors of the club and into a crowded hallway, Alex caught sight of Zero Cool himself, his eyes gleaming with excitement as he beckoned to Alex. "Welcome, Novaspire," Zero said, his voice dripping with menace. "Tonight, we're going to take your hacking skills to the next level." Alex's heart skipped a beat as he took in the scene before him. He was about to embark on a journey into the very depths of cybercrime, and there was no turning back now. "Let's do this," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. Zero smiled, a cold, calculated smile that sent shivers down Alex's spine. "I knew you'd be up for it," he said. "Now, let's get started." The night ahead would be filled with excitement, danger, and uncertainty. But one thing was certain. Alex was ready to take on whatever lay ahead. Alex's eyes scanned the Omicron Corporation system with a newfound sense of trepidation. The digital labyrinth stretched out before him like an endless pit, its secrets guarded by layers of encryption and firewalls. He had breached the outer defenses, but now faced the daunting task of navigating the inner workings of the corporation's network. "I'm in," Alex announced, his voice steady despite the doubts creeping into his mind. "But I'm not sure how much farther I can go." Zero Cool's laughter was a low, rumbling sound that sent shivers down Alex's spine. "You're just getting started, kid. The real challenge is finding what you're looking for. Omicron's system is designed to conceal, not reveal. You'll need all your skills to uncover the truth." As Alex delved deeper into the system, he stumbled upon a cryptic message hidden within a seemingly innocuous file. The words danced across his screen like shadows on a wall. "Project Erebus. Classified. Eyes only." A shiver ran down his spine as he realized that he might be onto something big. "Zero, I think I've found something," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. The silence that followed was oppressive, punctuated only by the hum of his computer and the distant thrum of a city nightlife. Then, Zero Cool spoke up, his tone dripping with malice. "Project Erebus, you say? That's a very interesting find, Alex. Very interesting indeed." Alex's eyes narrowed as he tried to read between the lines. What was Project Erebus? And why did Zero seem so eager for him to know more? The uncertainty gnawed at his gut like a rat in the walls. "I think you should come alone," Zero said, his voice tinged with an undercurrent of warning. "I have something to show you. Meet me at the usual location." Alex hesitated, his mind racing with questions and doubts. But the thrill of discovery had him hooked, and he knew that he couldn't resist the opportunity to learn more about Project Erebus. "I'll be there," Alex said finally, his voice firm despite the butterflies in his stomach. As he shut down his computer and made his way out into the night, Alex couldn't shake off the feeling that he was walking into a trap. But with Zero Cool's guidance, he felt like he was on the cusp of uncovering secrets that could change everything forever. Alex's fingers flew across the keyboard as he followed Zero Cool's instructions to access the dark web. His heart pounded in his chest like a jackhammer, but he couldn't look away from the screen. The words "Welcome, newbie" flashed on the screen, and Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. He typed out a response, trying to sound cool. "Hey, Zero Cool, I'm here. What's the first challenge?" His eyes darted around the dimly lit room, taking in the rows of computer screens and the faint hum of machinery. The screen flickered, and a new message appeared. "Ah, eager newbie. I like that. First, you need to prove your skills." A URL was provided, and Alex's eyes widened as he saw the site's security features. "This one's going to be tough," he muttered to himself. He began typing furiously, using every trick in the book to try and breach the site's defenses. Sweat dripped down his forehead as he worked, but he couldn't stop now. The clock ticked away, and Alex felt a sense of panic creeping in. He was running out of time. Just when he thought all hope was lost, Alex's eyes landed on a vulnerability he hadn't seen before. With a surge of adrenaline, he typed out the final line of code, and the site's login page appeared. "Yes," Alex shouted, pumping his fist in the air. The screen flickered again, and Zero Cool's message reappeared. "Well done, newbie. You've passed the first test." A small smile crept onto Alex's face as he felt a rush of excitement mixed with fear. He knew he was playing with fire now, but something about this world drew him in. As he waited for further instructions, his eyes scanned the room once more, taking in the other players and their screens. Some were typing furiously, while others seemed to be waiting for their next move. The silence was oppressive, punctuated only by the hum of machinery and the occasional beep of a keyboard. Alex's skin prickled with unease as he realized he wasn't alone in this game. There were others out there, watching him, judging him. "What's next?" Alex asked, his fingers trembling as he typed out the question. The screen flickered once more. "Meet me at https darkweb.com, user zerocool, meeting room. We'll discuss your future." Alex's heart skipped a beat as he read the message. What did Zero Cool mean by that? Was this some kind of initiation ritual? Or something darker? He hesitated for a moment before clicking on the link, his mind racing with possibilities. As he waited for the meeting room to load, Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. He was in this now, and there was no turning back. The darkness seemed to press in around him, making his skin crawl. The room loaded, revealing a dimly lit space filled with rows of computer screens, and a figure sitting at the far end. Zero Cool's avatar flashed on the screen, a sly smile spreading across their face. "Ah, newbie," they said, their voice dripping with amusement. "I see you're eager to learn, but are you ready for what comes next?" Alex hesitated, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew he was taking a risk by meeting Zero Cool, but something about this world drew him in. He took a deep breath and leaned forward, his eyes locked on the screen. "Yes," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm ready." The room seemed to grow darker, as if the shadows themselves were closing in around him. Alex felt a sense of trepidation wash over him, but he steeled himself for what was to come. He was in this now, and there was no turning back. Zero Cool leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers together as he regarded Alex with an unnerving intensity. "You have 1 hour," he repeated, his voice dripping with a detached calm that sent shivers down Alex's spine. The clock on the wall seemed to tick away at an alarming rate, each second stretching out like a thread pulled tight by an unseen force. Alex's fingers flew across the keyboard as he delved deeper into the code, his mind racing with the complex pattern of numbers and symbols that danced across the screen. "What if I fail?" Alex asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite the doubts creeping up on him. Zero Cool raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement playing on his lips. "Then you're out," he said bluntly, his expression unreadable. "But I don't think that's going to happen." The hum of machinery and the soft beep of Alex's laptop were the only sounds in the room as they waited for the outcome of the challenge. The air was thick with tension, heavy with the weight of expectation. As the minutes ticked away, Alex felt himself becoming more and more entrenched in Zero Cool's web of deceit. He wondered if he was walking into a trap, or if this was truly an opportunity of a lifetime. But he refused to back down, driven by a hunger for adventure and a need to prove himself. The clock struck 45 minutes, its chime echoing through the room like a warning shot across Alex's bow. Zero Cool remained impassive, his eyes fixed on Alex with an unnerving intensity that seemed to bore into his very soul. Alex took a deep breath, refocusing on the code as he worked tirelessly to crack the encryption. His fingers flew across the keyboard, each key press ringing out like a drum beat in the silence of the room. The tension between them was palpable, a living thing that pulsed with an energy all its own. Zero Cool's gaze never wavered from Alex, his eyes burning with an inner fire that seemed to fuel his determination. As the clock struck 55 minutes, Alex felt a glimmer of hope rising within him. He was getting close, he could feel it in his bones. But Zero Cool's expression remained unreadable, a mask of calm that hid any hint of emotion or reaction. The final 5 minutes ticked away with agonizing slowness, each second stretching out like a thread pulled tight by an unseen force. Alex's fingers flew across the keyboard, his mind racing with the possibilities and consequences of failure. And then, in a burst of code and light, it was over. The screen flickered to life, displaying a message that made Alex's heart leap with excitement. Access granted. The room seemed to hold its breath as Zero Cool leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Alex with an unnerving intensity. "Well done," he said finally, his voice dripping with a grudging respect. "You're one step closer to joining my team." Alex felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins as he turned to face Zero Cool, his heart pounding with excitement and anticipation. But as their eyes met, he saw something in the older man's gaze that made his blood run cold. A glint of calculation. A hint of ambition that seemed to spell out one thing. This was far from over. I leaned back in my chair, eyes fixed on the screen as I waited for Zero Cool's response. The Midnight Mirage channel was eerily silent, its players frozen in mid-action like a digital tableau. My fingers drummed an impatient rhythm on the keyboard, a habit I'd developed since joining the Eclipse channel. "Welcome to the game, kid," Zero's avatar said finally, his voice dripping with condescension. "You'll need to prove yourself worthy of joining our little club." I took a deep breath and focused on the task at hand, hacking into the corporate databases that Zero Cool had hinted at earlier. My fingers flew across the keyboard as I worked my magic, the code streaming down the screen like a river of fire. "Kid's got skills," one of the players whispered to another in hushed tones. I ignored them and concentrated on bypassing the security measures. The databases were more robust than usual, with each layer of protection requiring precision and finesse to breach. My mind whirled as I worked through the code, piecing together fragments like a digital puzzle. Suddenly, my screen flickered, and the connection dropped. Panic set in. Had I been caught? "Looks like we've got a new player on our hands," Zero said, his voice echoing through the channel. "Kid's got spirit, but is he worth the risk?" A figure emerged from the shadows, its avatar masked by a black hoodie. "I say we give him a chance to prove himself," it said in a low, gravelly tone. "Agreed," another player chimed in. "We can't let anyone join without earning our trust." The conversation swirled around me like a digital maelstrom, leaving me breathless and disoriented. What was I getting myself into? "You've got 3 chances to crack the database, kid," Zero said finally, his voice dripping with malice. "If you fail, well, let's just say you won't be joining our little club anytime soon." I took a deep breath and focused on the task at hand. This was it, my chance to prove myself. I dug in, my fingers flying across the keyboard as the stakes grew higher. The tension mounted with each passing second, but I refused to back down. This was my moment of truth, and I would see it through to the end, no matter what lay ahead. The warehouse on 5th and Main loomed before Alex like a specter, its windows boarded up and its door hidden behind a tangle of vines. A shiver ran down his spine as he approached the entrance, the paper from Mike still clutched in his hand. He pushed open the creaking door, and a dimly lit stairway unfolded before him like a serpent's coil. The air inside was heavy with dust and the scent of decay. Alex took a deep breath and began to make his way down, his footsteps echoing off the walls. At the bottom of the stairs, he found himself in a large, dimly lit room filled with rows of old computers and servers. A figure sat hunched over a terminal, surrounded by screens that flickered like fireflies in the darkness. "Welcome, Alex," Zero Cool said without looking up, his voice low and gravelly like a snake slithering through grass. "I see you're eager to meet me." Alex's heart skipped a beat as he approached the terminal, his eyes scanning the rows of screens for any sign of what lay beneath. He felt a mix of excitement and trepidation as he reached out to touch the screen. Just as his fingers made contact with the screen, a sudden burst of light illuminated the room, and Alex stumbled backward, shielding his eyes. When he opened them again, he found himself face to face with Zero Cool, or at least what appeared to be him. The figure stood tall, its features twisted into a grotesque parody of Alex's own visage. The eyes gleamed with an otherworldly intensity as it spoke in a voice that sent shivers down Alex's spine. "You should have stayed out of this, kid," Zero Cool hissed, his lips curled back in a snarl. "You're playing with fire." Alex tried to step back, but his feet seemed rooted to the spot. He felt like he was staring into the abyss, with nothing between him and the void but a thin membrane of sanity. "What are you talking about?" Alex stammered, his mind reeling from the revelation. Zero Cool laughed, the sound like a crackling fire. "You think I'm some kind of hero? Some kind of vigilante? You're just a pawn in a game you don't even understand." Alex's eyes widened as the truth dawned on him. He felt a wave of nausea wash over him as he realized that Zero Cool had been manipulating him all along. "I don't know what to say," Alex stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. Zero Cool leaned in close, his breath cold against Alex's skin. "You should be scared, kid. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into." As the darkness closed in around him, Alex realized that he was trapped in a web of deceit and danger, with no escape in sight. The game had changed, and he was no longer playing by the rules. The dimly lit warehouse loomed before me like a specter, its steel walls reflecting the faint glow of my laptop screen. I'd been digging through Zero's digital trail for weeks, but every lead seemed to end in a dead-end alley. Until now. A message flashed on the screen. "Meet me at Club Europa tonight." My heart skipped a beat as I read the words. This was it. My chance to finally meet Zero Cool face to face. I hesitated for a moment before typing out a response. "I'm in." The club's neon lights pulsed like a heartbeat as I pushed through the crowded doors. The air was thick with smoke and sweat, and the pulsating music seemed to reverberate deep within my chest. I scanned the room, my eyes locking onto a figure shrouded in shadows. Zero Cool stood tall, his piercing gaze seeming to bore into my very soul. Our eyes met, and for an instant, time froze. I felt like I was drowning in Zero's intensity, a mix of fear and excitement swirling together in a maddening dance. The music swelled, and Zero stepped forward, his movements fluid and deliberate. "You're different," he said, his voice low and husky. "Most kids your age are still playing with toys. You're already on the playground." I swallowed hard, trying to find my voice. "What do you want from me?" Zero chuckled, a cold, mirthless sound that sent shivers down my spine. "I want to show you something," he said, his eyes glinting with an otherworldly light. "Something that will change everything." With that, Zero beckoned me deeper into the club, into a world of secrets and lies, where the lines between right and wrong blurred like the boundaries of reality itself. As we vanished into the crowd, the music seemed to grow louder, more insistent, a siren's call drawing me further down the rabbit hole, toward a destiny I couldn't yet comprehend. "Let's dance," Zero said, his voice echoing in my ear over the thumping bass. "I want to show you the true meaning of convergence." I hesitated for a moment before nodding. My eyes locked onto Zero's as we moved into the sea of bodies. The music pulsed around us, a living, breathing entity that seemed to fuel our every step. And then, like a switch had been flipped, Zero's demeanor changed. His smile grew wider, his eyes glinting with a manic energy. "You see, Alex," he said, his voice rising above the din, "convergence isn't just about meeting in the middle. It's about breaking free from the constraints of reality itself." The words sent shivers down my spine as Zero spun me around, our bodies moving in perfect sync with the music. For a moment, I felt weightless, like we were floating above the chaos below. But beneath the surface, something was brewing. A sense of unease crept up my spine as I realized that Zero's words had been laced with a twisted sense of humor, one that hinted at a much darker reality than I'd ever imagined. "Zero," I said, my voice barely audible over the music, "what are you really after?" He just laughed, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Ah, Alex, you're starting to get it. But let's not spoil the surprise just yet." With that, Zero pulled me deeper into the heart of the club, toward a destination I couldn't yet comprehend. One that would change everything I thought I knew about this virtual world and its elusive creator. As we disappeared into the crowd, the music grew louder, more insistent. The lights pulsed around us like a living entity, drawing us deeper into the abyss. And I knew, in that moment, that I was in over my head, but too far gone to turn back now. As Alex emerged from the dimly lit alleyway, the city's cacophony slammed into him like a physical force. Car horns blaring, people chattering, and sirens wailing in the distance. The cool breeze ruffled his hair as he struggled to process the events that had transpired. The adrenaline rush from their narrow escape still lingered, making every sound seem amplified. His phone buzzed, shattering the spell. A text from Zero Cool appeared on the screen. "Meet me at the old clock tower at midnight. Come alone." Alex's eyes narrowed as he read the message for what felt like the 100th time. What did Zero want now? Had he finally discovered Alex's true identity? For a moment Alex hesitated, weighing his options. Part of him yearned to confront Zero about his intentions, but another part was drawn to the mystery surrounding the enigmatic figure. The latter won out, and he responded with a single word. Why? Why not? He couldn't help but wonder what secrets Zero might reveal. The response came swiftly. "Because I've got something to show you. Don't be late." Alex's mind began to whirl with possibilities as he navigated the city streets. He took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill his lungs, and set off towards the clock tower. He knew these streets like the back of his hand, but tonight they seemed to twist and turn in unexpected ways. As he walked, Alex's senses came alive. The smell of freshly baked bread wafted from a nearby bakery. The sound of laughter echoed from a group of teenagers gathered on a street corner. The city was a living, breathing entity that pulsed with energy. He felt a thrill of excitement as he picked up his pace, eager to uncover the secrets Zero had in store for him. But the streets were not empty, and Alex soon found himself dodging pedestrians and weaving through alleys. He quickened his step, his heart pounding in time with the city's rhythmic pulse. The clock tower loomed ahead, its imposing structure a beacon calling him closer. As he approached the tower, Alex noticed a figure waiting for him in the shadows. It was Zero Cool, his eyes gleaming with an intensity that made Alex's skin prickle. "You came," Zero said, his voice low and even. Alex nodded, his mind racing. What did Zero have planned? And why had he chosen this abandoned clock tower as their meeting spot? Zero stepped closer, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "I've been waiting for you, Alex. I have something to show you." Alex's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" But before Zero could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed through the alleyway. A group of shadowy figures emerged from the darkness, their faces obscured by hoods and masks. "Looks like we have some company," Zero said, his voice dripping with amusement. The air seemed to vibrate with tension as Alex and Zero faced off against their unknown assailants. What did they want? And how far would Alex go to uncover the truth? The clock tower loomed behind them, its face a cold, unforgiving mask that seemed to mock their struggles. But Alex was determined to find out what secrets lay hidden within those ancient stones. "Let's do this," he said, his voice firm and resolute. Zero smiled, a glint in his eye. "I thought you'd say that." Together they charged forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead.